Good morning, Mr. Kenneth. I'm Mara and she's Nicole. We will be interviewing you today. Yeah. We are glad to have you here to share with us about your career.
Can you please share with us a little about yourself and your music background?
So I started playing the piano when I was 6 years old. I took private lessons until grade 8. Then after SPM I went over to Russia to audition for the Moscow Conservatory and I got it and did my master's there. Graduated in 2010.
So how long have you been performing professionally?
Since graduating, so this is my 7th year.
7 years. So what or who inspired you to be a performer?
Well, I've always loved classical music as a child, so that made me choose music as a career.
What do you love your job as a performer?
Being able to play a lot of new works, explore new composers, work with different musicians.
Okay, so what do you think is the toughest aspect of performing sessions nowadays?
I think that in Malaysia, it's not quite possible to be a full-time performer unless you're very lucky to get a job in an orchestra.
Yeah.
So you do have to find a stable part-time job or full-time job. And if you wish to perform, you still have to find time to practice regularly.
How long do you usually take to prepare for a concert?
It depends on how long the program is and how difficult it is. But if it's a full 1-hour program, memorized, so roughly 3 months, can be less.
Have you feel bored when you keep playing the same repertoire? How do you overcome?
Not really.
Not really.
Because you'll never be perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because once you think that your playing is perfect, that means you've stopped improving already.
Yeah.
So there's always things to improve, and I try to improve it, making it better.
Has there ever been a time you wanted to give up?
Music?
Yeah. No.
When I was studying overseas in Russia, I was a little bit depressed in my 3rd and 4th year. It's a 5-year course. Because of how competitive it is over there. Because in most European countries, education is free. So, and every year they will base your eligibility in university based on your performance. So if you do very badly, they kick you out. And it's very tough competing with everyone.
So how do you keep your passion in music?
Many ways. The main thing is to find a variety of things to do, because if you're doing the same thing all the time, it can get a bit tedious. So I not only perform as a soloist, but I also accompany a lot. I do a lot of chamber music,
Yeah.
and I also teach part-time. And you should also find some sort of source of inspiration, listening to music, going to meet people, reading stuff.
Are there anything special things or rituals you do right before the performance to lessen the nervousness?
For me personally, I usually get very nervous when playing in front of an audience. But I do know that the more prepared I am, the better, the less nervous I'll feel. Also, to be extra safe, I usually run through my program for friends and other musicians, not necessarily pianists, just to have a feel how the program sounds like in front of an audience. And I'll get nervous anyway when in front of it. So.
Has there been a time you came across a low-paying job offer?
Yes.
How do you or would suggest to deal with it?
That will depend on a lot of things. Do you want the job? Does it offer a lot of publicity, experience? Or is it for charity? Or are they just exploiting you?
In your opinion, do you think young musicians who are trying to break into the music scene should accept or reject low-paying offers?
Maybe in the beginning, yes. Because it's always hard to find work. Of course, you have to make sure it pays at least decently. So at least it's something to start up with. Because if you are new to the scene, no one knows you. And at least if you start teaching or accompanying or performing, even if it's for free, at least people will start to know you, they know your name, they see how you play, they're more confident in hiring you in the future. So that's how you network.
Do you have any advice or words of encouragement for youngers who are planning to be a performer?
Performing takes a lot of discipline because you have to continue practicing. A lot of passion, especially as you get older. It takes more time to prepare. And unless you are spending all your time as a full-time performer, you have other side jobs which will also demand a lot of attention. So you have a lot of discipline if you really want to choose this path.
Has there ever been a time you wanted to give up as a performer?
Since graduating, no. When I first came back from Russia, I was away for 6 years, so much has changed here. I hardly knew anyone, and of course no one knew me. So initially I had to attend a lot of concerts, do a lot of low-paying jobs, just to break into the scene. And initially it was very difficult. It actually took me 3 years before my job in general became stable. I mean, I had a steady job supply.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Kenneth.